Welcome to the Auto Accident Attorneys podcast, brought to you by the Auto Accident Attorneys Group, where our motto is simple: we take care of you. While we're known for helping people navigate the aftermath of auto accidents, this podcast is about so much more. And especially today, we're recording a special episode on Father's Day. So I've got my sister, attorney Holly.
Hello, hello.
And we have a very special guest today with us. Not an attorney, but he created two attorneys, Mr. Jim.
Jamshid Salimi.
Mr. Jim is crazy.
Jim is more attorneys.
Jimmy boy.
I was actually just thinking, I was like, oh, we should have gotten him the handle at Mr. Jim on Instagram.
It's not too late.
Dad.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Happy Father's Day to you too.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, since it's Father's Day, I figured, I don't know if you've listened to our podcast. I know Mom does for sure.
I have a few times, yes.
You have listened to the podcast.
Yes.
So you know that not only do we discuss things regarding auto accidents, but we also try to give our listeners information or advice, or what's called dadvice. We just put the letter D in front of advice. So it's advice that Dad would give. And I've never received as much dadvice in my entire life than my own dad on random car rides. So I figured today he could give our listeners some dad advice. Are you ready for that?
Yes, we do. Yes, I am. Yes, let's go.
It's like, you didn't prepare me for that.
Yeah.
Let's just start with this first. Can I offer you something where I forgot, our listeners probably by now know that we're Persian. I didn't taro if anything. Can I get you something to drink?
No, thank you so much. But, please ask me a, simple question.
A simple question.
Simple questions.
All right. Well, while we're recording this podcast today on Father's Day, it's a Sunday in June.
Yes.
There is a current conflict going on from the country, involving the country that you are from and came to the States to raise two attorneys. So I guess let's start with something simple and easy. What do you think about the Iran-Israel conflict?
Well, it's not good at all. That's not is a war, and they don't tar off any shirini or cakes. That's a war. They're killing each other.
Taro shirini?
Yeah. In the war, that's what it meant.
Yeah.
Persian, they say, in the jang, they don't tar off shirini.
To jang, how do you say it in Farsi?
To jang shirini پخش نمیکنن.
Can you translate that for us?
In war, you're not offering candies and cookies.
Yeah.
They don't spread candy in war.
Yes.
That's a pretty Persian sentence if I've ever heard one, actually.
Yeah.
The entire time that you were raising us in this country, if I think back, the country's about as old as I am, all right?
I think so, yes.
So the entirety of the country, while you're raising two kids here, I think for that 40 some odd years, they've always been at war, right?
You mean in Iran?
Right.
Or after revolution, right after revolution, we had an 8 years war with Iraq and with Saddam. And then that stopped, and then we had a lot of propaganda, against Israel, and they tried to destroy Iranian nuclear plant. So they tried to resist for many years, and now, end up to having a war with each other.
Holly?
This is a really intense way to start this podcast.
Well, you asked for something easy. I figured I'd lob it up.
And I think that's a part of this thing from a softball. I personally would love to hear, we've heard it before, but for the listeners, Dad's story from the beginning, how you came to America, how you got started.
Yeah, when we came to America, your mom was 26, 27 years old. I was about 30 years old. It wasn't easy, but we determined to come to America to go to school, get educated, and after finishing school, go back to Iran. And I did. I promised to myself, to my family, that after I finish school here, which I studied mechanical engineering at University of Tennessee, you guys know. and then decided to go back to Iran. I prepared everything, and I took Ali, my son, with me.
Attorney Ali.
Yeah, Attorney Ali. But mom, my wife, Ozzy, she stayed here. She said, okay, well.
What year did you leave Iran? When you and mom decided to come to the States, what year was it?
That was 1977, exactly October 1977, we came to America. At that time, we had Kingdom of Pahlavi dynasty.
Reza Shah Pahlavi.
Muhammad Reza Pahlavi. So it was a good relation between America and Iran. So it was very easy, to get a student visa. And I got my I-20 form from North Carolina. I had a neighbor. He was Iranian. His wife was American. She was from North Carolina. They visiting every year, every summer.
In Iran?
From Iran to North Carolina. They go to North Carolina because of his wife every year. And I asked him, if you go there, could you get me an I-20 form to go to America as a student?
Why didn't you just get it off the internet?
Well, at that time, we didn't have the internet, not even the cell phone. There wasn't any cell phone. And
so you had in Iran, you had a neighbor who was married to he was an Iranian man married to an American woman, but they lived in Iran.
They lived in Iran with his wife, she was American from North Carolina.
And they would visit North Carolina every year.
Every year in the summertime, when kids are off school, in the summertime, they go to America, to North Carolina. So I had a communication with him. He was an engineer also working for the National Iranian Oil Company. And I said, next time you go in there, can you get me an I-20 form? He did.
What's the I-20 form? And how did you know what it was?
I knew, how to get that student visa. That was part of the beginning of, you have to have a permission. You have to have acceptance from, some college or university from America. And that I-20 was acceptance to one of the college in North Carolina. He got it for me, and he came back and he said that was $20. So I go to agencies, got $20 and gave it to him. I thanked him. So that was the beginning of packing and being ready to move to America as a student.
And how did the logistics of leaving Iran and coming to America? Did you go by boat, plane?
No, well, my mom, my wife is from Kermanshah. It's another province of Iran. But U.S. Embassy was in Tehran. When I was married, I was living in Kermanshah. So we go together. After I got my I-20, go to Iran, had all the paperwork ready, go to American Embassy, and they gave me a student visa. I think at that time they called it F1 visa. And so they gave me permission to come to America. But when my wife's parents, especially father, he found out, he started crying. He said, I'm not going to see my daughter anymore. You're taking her away from here. And I said, well, we're going to come back after I finish school.
That was a lie.
It was a lie, and also...
Well, it wasn't a lie at the time.
No, it just ended up that way.
No, it ended up that way, but what happened later on, the war changed, everything changed. We had a revolution, American Embassy was... the people in the American Embassy were taken hostage, so it ruined relation between Iran and United States. Then we had a war with Iraq.
Wait. Babashid, again,
yeah.
You got the I-20 form and you applied for an F1 visa to come to the States. And it was October of 1977 that you finally came to the States, right?
That's correct.
How did you come over? I already know the way. I'm trying to lead you.
No, I forgot you asked me with the boat. No, there was a airline agencies, coming from Tehran directly to New York, to Chicago, to Philadelphia. And at that time, I don't know how much the ticket was, but because my father was in the military, and I had the privilege of getting a great discount on ticket coming to America, because at that time the plane comes, I think they call it 303 airplane. It was a cargo plane. The two stories, the bottom story was they delivering a lot of equipment from America. The top story was nice, first class chairs, but they didn't have a host or flight attendant, just a pilot and co-pilot. And I think they had a few people that worked in the plane, but they didn't serve any food. You had to have your own food.
Because it was a military plane.
Because it was a military plane. But if at that time, if ticket for regular ticket or regular people coming from Iran to America was $1,000, my ticket was $50 because I was a military family member.
This is your father, Agha.
Agha.
Agha was part of the Iranian, the Shah's.
The Shah military.
Which division? Air Force, Army?
He was in the army.
He was in the army.
Yeah, he was in the army, and he was a colonel in the army. But he was retired, but still using the privilege of being served in the military.
So as the child of an army, I mean, you're also in the military, but I'm assuming you didn't have the same status that he did. It was because of him that you were able to access the U.S. Air Force.
Yes, but the military I was in, that was a mandatory 2 years serving the military.
Conscription.
For every Iranian male to serve 2 years mandatory in the military. Mine wasn't considered as a military personnel.
I see. You just did your obligation. You fulfilled your obligation. So he got you, Allah was able to get you onto a U.S. Air Force.
No, I mean Iranian Air Force plane.
Oh, it was an Iranian Air Force plane.
Iranian Air Force plane.
So Iranian pilots.
Iranian pilots.
Oh, okay. I didn't, this entire time I thought it was U.S. Air Force.
No.
Iranian Air Force. So they flew out of Tehran?
Out of Tehran, coming directly to military base in Philadelphia.
Oh.
And when it was landed, and they had to call for the personnel to come in, open the gate, open the interviewing offices or the salon or whatever the office. So everything was closed down. That was the only plane that landed there at that time, and that was us. So they come in and they check our visas, and we just catch the bus from there, go different place.
That's amazing. How many people were on that plane? About? Was it empty?
I would say about 100 people. But I have to mention that when they took off from Tehran, they landed in Spain, Madrid, Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And pilot says, we're going to spend the night here. And we are going to this hotel. If you want to go to this hotel, you can, just go to that hotel. So we catch the bus or taxi. We go to that hotel. So every 100 passengers, all military members, family, we all go to that hotel. And some of them, they went to the different hotel. Pilot and co-pilot, they stayed with us in that same hotel. In Spain, like French, they have a baguette. Bread, and next morning everything was new. That was our first time, me and my wife, your mom, first time coming out of Iran to different countries. So it was very interesting everything smelled different, everything looked different. So next day, I woke up, I said, let me go catch a baguette, we have a breakfast together. I come out and I see the pilot with a short, he's looking for the baguette too. So
I'm getting emotional. I'm already crying.
Well, I mean, you've always loved carbs, so I can see that.
Oh, if I could get that baguette now. I can smell it as you're describing it.
We come back in, and the next day, I think that day, and some of the Iranian passengers, they were like 2-star, 3-star, 1-star officers. They just stayed in Madrid, and a few of them, they said, we're going to go have a vacation here in Madrid. We're going to go see the, what they call that?
Running of the bulls?
The bulls, what they call it, Gavazi, the
Matador.
Matador.
Yeah, bullfighting.
Yeah, bullfight. So they went there, and I think out of 100 people, and some of them they stayed in Europe. Out of that 100 people, about 30 people left in the airplane.
So almost everybody stayed in Europe.
Most of them, yes.
Yeah.
70, almost 60, 70 people that stayed in Europe. From there, going different, country in Europe.
No disrespect to Philly, but now that you've been in America for a while, you can see people are comparing. They're like, Madrid or Philly? I'm like, I think I'll stay in Madrid. All right. So then you spend the night in Madrid. You lose a good amount of people there. I say you lose. They meant to. They purposely flew there to go to Europe, but
Vacationing.
They were vacationing. It was just
cheap. Your flight was cheap. Probably hotel was cheap for them at that time.
But your intent was always to come to. You had gotten your student visa. You and mom were. Mom also got a student visa?
No, she was just accompanying me to
as a spouse.
As a spouse.
Okay, and you guys land in Philadelphia at a U.S. Air Force base.
U.S. Air Force base, and that was the only plane in the airport at that time.
Was it like in the middle of the night?
It was afternoon. I believe around 4 or 5 o'clock. October season, fall season in Philadelphia. Very private and exclusive flight.
And could the people there? I'm assuming they didn't speak Farsi.
Americans?
Yeah.
No, they were just immigration officers with the Air Force uniforms.
I see.
Not regular immigration officers of United States. They were immigration officers for Air Force.
Did you speak English?
I had a few words I learned, but one of the words I remember was because. Everywhere I go, I just keep using because, and people go, sir, because. Yeah. Trying to get a direction, you call him, sir, because.
You guys then, do you spend the night in Philly or do you go straight to Tennessee?
We knew where they're going to land in Philadelphia, so we got a ticket from Philadelphia to North Carolina from Iran.
Mm-hmm.
That was a different ticket, different price, wasn't the military.
Airline.
I
see. So you flew from
Philadelphia,
Philly to North Carolina.
To North Carolina, but when we caught the plane, in our road there was a guy, sitting next to us. I explained to him, that's why we are here.
In English?
And as I said, just a few words.
He just kept saying because, but in his mind, he was explaining everything.
Yeah. So,
because.
So, we didn't have even a hotel. And he says, I'm going to this hotel, Holiday Inn. They have a shuttle that pick you up from the airport, and they take you to. It was a big help because we didn't know where to stay. But I had an I-20 from the college, and the college was Sacred Heart College. It was a non
it was a convent.
For the non. It was a Catholic non-school, but they had an English school there too. So we had the I-20 from that college.
Shout out Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart College. We thought, well, we are going to the dormitories. I didn't think about what we're going to say at night. I thought, it's probably as easy as Iran. But anyway, this guy helped us to catch the shuttle, go to Holiday Inn, and then he took us to the front desk, and he explained that where we are from, that's what we are here for. So they got a nice room for us. So we spent the night there until next day. Got a taxi, go to the Sacred Heart College. That's Sunday, in October, Sunday.
What is this, like the first 72 hours of your trip to America?
Let's see. One day in Madrid, Spain, and Probably 2 days. That's the third day.
Yeah.
Second day, maybe,
In the States.
in the States. Going now from there, we had to go to the college, where our dormitory was. I was confident that when we go into the dormitory, we have a place, we have food, all that. So I wasn't worried about it.
So one thing I'm wondering right now, I'm about to fly to London, but I've got like 3 different Amexes. I use my phone to access ATMs. Okay. When you came, yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It's just cash. That's all you have. You don't have, there's no bank accounts here. You can't access bank accounts in Iran. Just cash in your pocket.
We sold everything in Iran, our belonging, car, carpet, things like that. I think converted to like $7,000. I wrapped it with a plastic and put it in my socks and my shoes. So wrapped it there too, so nobody gonna steal it. At the first, I thought, in America, a lot of people maybe, they come and rob you. So that's where I hide it. Our cash, no credit card, no checks, and everywhere we go, we just pull out the 20s out of there and pay.
And you had converted into US dollars before you left Iran?
Before we left Iran.
And at the time, the idea was this money that you had saran wrapped, this is supposed to get you through what? Through all, like 4 years of college?
No, I calculated for 6 months.
Oh, okay. So you had enough for 6 months. The idea was that you would earn money somehow when you were here.
When I plan to come here and go to get a job somewhere. So I said, I'm going for 6 months, and I convinced my wife, if we are not gonna cover the tuition and expenses, if we don't have the money, at least 6 months we learn English, so we can come back and beside the first job, work as the English teacher for the second job.
Back in Iran.
If we are not succeeded, go to school.
So when does school start? This is October of 1977. When do you actually enroll and start school?
Well, the first 3 months, we went to that non-school, Sacred Heart, that was Sunday, everywhere closed, big, huge gates, rang and knocked the door. One of the nun opened the door, and I said, this is my I-20 from here. He said, yeah, come on in.
Were they expecting you, or did two Iranians just knock on the door?
They expecting, but they didn't know definite date.
I see.
But on their list, we were the student, they're supposed to provide a room. Because it was October and school was closed for that season, for that month. So when we go into dormitory, she took us to the hallway where the rooms were located. And then she said, whatever room you want. So we picked the first room, but no other students were there. We were the only one in the dark hallway in the non-student college. And at night, we just locked the door, locked the windows, so nobody gonna come in. But gradually, a student came back to school after vacation, after holidays. And the next day, that same nun, she came and she took us to for a tour around the college, where the student center is, where the cafeteria is, where all these places are. So, and cafeteria, the food was ready. It was great. So that was our...
I can't get over his memory. Yeah. And it's funny, I'm watching you. I feel like you're going back into the moment. Your eyes, you're feeling going down that hallway.
Yeah.
The smell of the cafeteria.
Oh, I remember exactly after like 50 years.
That's good. Hopefully our brains retain that kind of information after 50 years.
I doubt it. Was it in Salisbury, North Carolina?
It was in, let me see.
I just Googled Sacred Heart. There's a Sacred Heart University, but that's in Connecticut.
No, there's Sacred Heart College.
Sacred Heart Catholic School.
But let me, Belmont, North Carolina.
In Belmont.
Belmont near Charlotte, between Gastonia and Charlotte.
Oh, there it is. Sacred Heart Convent.
Mm-hmm.
School in Belmont, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
So now you're there, and so you go to Sacred Heart in order to learn English.
They had English group called ELS.
ESL. English is a second language?
Yes, ESL.
ESL. We have that in all the public schools now. You are there for 3 months.
For 3 months.
And then you go to Tennessee.
My wife's mom's cousins, they were in Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Mom's
Zia.
Your wife's mom's cousin.
No.
So
No, it was her cousin.
Oh, mom's cousin.
Mom's cousin.
Cousin.
Your mom's cousin, my wife, your mom.
Zia. Okay, a cousin. He is at the time working at the Tennessee Valley Authority.
He was. I had 2 people I knew. One of them was living in New York, which was my cousin Parviz. And the other person was Zia. That's the only people we knew.
Parviz and Zia were both in the States.
In this. Parviz was in New York, and Zia was in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I had another friend living in California. So I had the choice, to which one to go. But Tennessee was close to North Carolina. We didn't have to drive far. And at that time, we were not thinking of flying.
Yeah.
Just wherever we go, my first car was a Vega, VEGA, red Vega. And it had a good sporting bump exhaust, and wouldn't make a big, huge noise. And
You bought that in North Carolina?
I bought it in North Carolina.
What is that, a Chevy?
I think it's Chevy Vega, yeah. I don't think they're around anymore.
This is the Chevy Vega.
Yeah.
What color was yours?
Red.
A red Chevy Vega. That's amazing. So this is what you and Mom drove from Belmont, North Carolina to Tennessee. Who was the friend in California that you knew?
Faraj.
In San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
We could have been West Coast kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. But shout out Georgia. We love Georgia. It's great. It's fantastic. So you go to Tennessee. This is the beginning of 1978.
1977, October there. Yeah, beginning of 1978. So I got another acceptance or not I-20, just acceptance from Chattanooga State Community College. That was a 2-year college. I got to go there and study, just take my elective courses.
And that's when you started in 1978?
1978.
Talk us a little bit through that. So you're going to, I'm assuming by now you're starting to run out of money.
Well, we tried, that's just 3 months. So we were in the dormitory, and part of it was already paid, and the other part, but we still have some money left, so we can go to Chattanooga, rent an apartment, and but in the meanwhile, I was looking when I was in North Carolina, we had a neighbor. The guy was from Hong Kong, and his wife was American, and he was the one took us at that time, regardless of your status in America, you can get if you have a visa and passport, Iranian passport, you can get the driver's license and Social Security card.
At that time, as long as you're valid somehow, you could.
Yes.
You don't need to be a permanent resident or a citizen.
No, it's not anymore. But at that time, this guy helped us. He took us to the Social Security office. We got our Social Security card. He took us to the driver's license. We got our driver's license.
So now then that's how you're able to get a car. You're able to get insurance. You get full because you have the documentation. And this is all you're here because you need this documentation because you're going to spend a year or two here as a student.
Exactly. Well, I needed a driver's license, and this guy says he was Kmart manager. And I said, do you have any openings? He said, yeah, I have some job, from at night that you just come in and there's a machine, you buff the floor, because I didn't know English. That was a great job, for me. But he says, you have to have a Social Security number first. That's why he took it. But I didn't end up to working for Kmart, but he offered me.
Because of that, you knew what was required in order. You knew you were going to have to work at some point in time. And then you found out in order to work, you needed a social security number so that you could receive payments.
I just want to acknowledge that every step of the way he got there, because obviously he put himself out there, but people helped. And it's like he came to America and they had such an incredible community of people that were willing to show him the ropes, to advise him as to like what forms you should get, what you need to do next. And I think that's really important, especially in this climate, when you think about what's going on with, you know, immigration and everything. It's people forget. Everybody's become super individualistic. But in 1977, 1978, he had neighbors from all over helping him. Everywhere he went, somebody guided him
Exactly.
to make sure that he got through the process and did things right. And I think I just want to point that out. That's pretty incredible that
There were people like that.
him. Yeah.
Even when I was going to buy a car, I didn't know what American car is good, and one guy told me, just go sit in the car. If you are comfortable with it, buy it. He didn't mention about the transmission, about the tire, about the motor. So if you are comfortable, so when we were going around, we didn't have a car. We were just walking, from here to there. Belmont was a small place, a small community. And I noticed one car, it says for sale, so we go and talk to him. I sit in the car. I noticed I'm comfortable. I said, I'm buying it.
It's like, this Vega feels nice. This feels me.
As soon as I started, I think that was a huge yard. He has a big house. I think one was his son's car. And as soon as I started, car started going, just shaking the whole building.
He's like, this is it.
And I got it. But my neighbor, that person from the Hong Kong who was manager at Cambridge, says, Jamshid, this is not a good car because neighbor doesn't like it. And in the morning, you start the car going to school. And
You know what's ironic is now their neighbor's son has a car that makes a really loud noise when you turn it on. This is karma.
Sounds like freedom. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like America. You've got your car, you get an apartment, you get a job eventually so that you can sustain the lifestyle through school, because you'd only come in for 6 months of money. You got 6 months of savings. So you're going to school. I'm looking for like that next plot twist. What happens then? And you have a kid that's born?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. We went to Chattanooga, so we rented I was at me and Ozzy, we both in North Carolina, that college place for about 3 months, and then we moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee. We rented an apartment. I got signed up for the Chattanooga State Community College, took some elective courses. But meanwhile, more important thing was just get a job. Everywhere I go, this is not important. The school is not important. I need to get a job. But Zia was there. She knew. Well, Ali Kabir was there too.
Well, since the listeners don't know Ali Kabir, this is another one of Mom's cousins.
Mom's cousin.
So Mom had 2 cousins here.
And one day Zia says, "Do you want a job? I have a friend that manages, or one of the guy working at the factory. I can recommend that you can get a job." So Zia was the first person to ask that guy to accept me, to let me work there. So what I did, I started working for that called U.S. Stove Company. And they make a stove for different Kmart, Sears, different places, or make a refrigerator, heavy duty stuff.
Yeah.
So that
heavy equipment, moving heavy equipment.
My first job was there, but the income was good. They're paying good, to the workers. And
are you going to school at the same time?
I was going to school at the same time.
So you take classes during the day and move heavy equipment at night?
At night. I think it was starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 12 o'clock midnight. The job was.
So how was school? I assume the job was just the job. You're just doing labor. You've learned some English, but you're probably not communicating very much with people that you work with.
Not much.
On campus, I assume there's other Iranian students because there's always like foreign nationals on every campus. So you've got a community there, but how are the classes? You have favorite classes? Are you good at it? Are you bad at it?
The first classes I took was mathematics. I was good at it. So while I'm doing the mathematics, so I knew everything in the mathematics, especially like math 1 or 2 was so easy for me, but it gave me opportunity while I'm attending a school, taking these courses legally as a student in America, so I can stay here with a 40 hours full-time student. I can learn English too, because in the mathematics class, I'm paying attention to the conversation more than the solving the equations.
So the math curriculum is really just a cover. That's easy for you because you know it.
Oh,
You're spending your time listening to people speak so you can pick up the language.
pick up the language. I was young, and then afternoon in the factory, it was just a company. I communicate with people, talk to different people. So I just every day I pick up a few vocabularies, and then read the book at night and look at the dictionary, convert it to Farsi, and write it down in Farsi in the book on top of every vocabulary. That's how I learned it.
And do you have any, between school and work and a wife, are you doing anything else? Are you involved in any clubs, activities, sports?
Not at all. Just leaving home early morning before 7 with that Vega thing. Then I changed it to different car. The next one was a Ford Mustang. That was a nice.
I'm learning a lot about Dad just through his cars that he chose when he came to America.
The Ford Mustang was a great car. If I kept it, it was nice. At that time, it was 1978, but the Mustang was 1977. Just
Wow.
a few months old. It looked like brand new. I got it for $3,000. I still have some saving, despite that money not,
Yeah.
very spending in the budget.
He's got a budget for 6 months, but he's like, look at this Stang. Mom, that's where it started. Mom was like, God damn.
And nothing's changed.
It seems like this is now your first year of school, right?
First a few months.
Of university.
No, college.
Of college.
Community college, yeah.
And then do you ever transfer to a university or not?
Yeah, and then, I was there. I took, I think 6 months. And my goal was while I'm having a job, having an income, and the income was good at that factory.
Mm-hmm.
I was working, income was great. Our apartment rent, nice neighborhood, the middle class neighborhood in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Daytona Boulevard. And we had a nice bedroom apartment for $150 a month. But my income was about $1,100 a month at that time because it was a factory job and they pay a lot. And I remember, they would call it lunch break between 8 to 8:30. And I was thinking, since I'm learning English, I said, lunch, this is dinner. Lunch is supposed to be at 12 o'clock. But anyway,
You went and told your manager, you're like, you're using the wrong word here.
So I go to my car, and that 30 minutes, Mom was, in daytime making me a jelly sandwich. So I take sandwiches with me for lunch and dinner. And one evening, I was sitting I still have a Vega. And I was sitting in the Vega, reading my book while eating because I tried to take advantage of that 30 minutes time. So, and somebody knocking the window. That was dark at night. And then I looked at it. So I forgot his name, Charles or something. And he's one of the guys was working with me in the line in the factory. He goes, I thought when he goes like this, pointing his 2 fingers toward his mouth, I thought he's asking for the food. I said, okay, you want? No. And then so it was cigarette, and I wasn't smoking cigarette at that time.
You were not a smoker?
No, at that time.
Oh, did you know that?
I didn't smoke at that time.
Damn, Charles.
Lying.
Then,
I've seen pictures of him at like 18 with a cigarette in his hand.
in Iran, but when I came here, I couldn't afford it to buy a cigarette.
That's why.
Geez, Mustang money.
And then he kept asking, I didn't know. I said, I don't have a cigarette. But anyway, he left. The next night, he came again because, we were talking together inside at the job. And he comes in, knocked the door. And he said, come on. I said, what? He said, come in. I followed him because I knew as a friend, I trusted him. So I see a few other guys. I was young at that time, 30 years old, and those guys were like 25, 30, 33 years old, the same age. And so we go into the car, and two people sitting in the front, and then him and the other guy sitting in the back, and they put him in the middle, in the back seat. So I'm sitting between these two guys, and the two at the front, they started smoking joints.
They hotbox Dad.
And they're giving to me, he said, try it. I said, okay. Barely talk to them, try to explain things like that, and they're asking, and Elvis Presley was just passed away, and they were from Tennessee, and they were worried and they're sad because of Elvis Presley. And I was mad at Shaw. The Shaw doing this, we have to change. So I'm talking about the politics. They talk about the entertainment. So different subject. But they would understand me, even with a few English words. And then when I got a few smoke, I got high, and then I start talking Farsi. But I hear them. And Charles says, he's high now. He's hot now. That all night I was talking this Farsi because, I'm being fluent in Farsi, easy. So I go inside, and then, Charles, I don't know, James, what they call me, said he's high, and everybody come and look at me. And I was thinking, God, what should I do? But I heard in Iran long time ago, if something, you have to take a butter and eat butter, and so I said, I hope 12 o'clock I get up and go stop and go get it. I did. I go to a stop and go got a block of butter and start eating it to get better. But it didn't help. I go home.
All right, kids. So if you're listening, if you get too stoned, butter is not going to help.
Dad advice.
Yeah, there's the dad advice. We got to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't scary. And I go home. And normally when I go home, I open the book and read what the homeworks. I could at that time, as I said, 30 years old. I have a lot of energy, a lot of willingness, to work hard, to study hard. So I go home. I said, I'm going to bed. So next day, I woke up. Thanks God, never, ever, ever again will do it. And that was it.
Hear that, kids, don't do drugs.
Yeah. It's Father's Day, but, when your granddaughters hear this episode, they will take the advice to stay away from joints. They say they're not butter.
It was bad experience.
That's
He's having more flashbacks right now.
Okay, so we are at we're at an hour, but I don't want to end this, so we're gonna split this up into a couple episodes. We're probably gonna break now. Tune in for the next episode to see what happens with Attorney Holly and at Attorney Ali's dad, Jamshid. Tune in next time to see what happens. Happy Father's Day, Babajan.
Happy Father's Day to you. Thank you so much. Kiss your hands.